wondering what Blue Monday is, in 2005, a Cardiff University professor called Cliff Arnell decided that he made a point that the third Monday in January is generally Blue Monday. We're going to find out a bit more about this now, because joining me is Julie Willow. She's from Wellbeing Wales. Hi, Julie.
Hiya.
Can you tell us a bit more about this Blue Monday then?
Yeah, so it's quite a long documented phenomenon, and basically around this time of year, that tends to be the kind of peak day for depression. So happy Blue Monday. So people like Charles Dickens and stuff like that have all reported feeling that phenomenon. So it can be around like the changes in light and stuff, especially where we do the daylight savings and stuff like that. So people's circadian rhythms are a little bit off with their sort of sleep-wake cycles and things like that. Obviously we've got Christmas as well. So if you've got the kind of expense of that with credit card bills and stuff coming in, and obviously Christmas isn't a happy or easy time for everybody. So, and then there's getting back in the flow after that lull, which can take its toll on people a little bit.
I've heard as well it can be New Year's resolutions, that by the middle of January you've kind of given them up and that they're non-existent now, and that annoys people sometimes.
Yeah, it's kind of like setting yourself up to fail, especially if you set a lot of like really big commitments and things like that. So slow steady small steps is kind of the way to go, really.
I suppose a lot of people's are quite difficult things. They may be giving up cigarettes, or might be giving up alcohol, or giving up certain type of food, or taking more exercise. And sometimes it can be a lot harder than just saying, I'm going to give this up for January.
Yeah, moderation tends to be better than giving up, because it's more achievable and you want to set yourself up for that success.
And with the weather, though, I think that the light, it is better now, because like November, December is very, very dark, but you do notice the difference. I've said to friends, you get to the end of January, I said, right at the end, you'll notice that difference in light. You're already seeing it's still light about 5 o'clock now. So maybe there's something positive there to look at if people are feeling a little down with the weather.
100%, yeah. And you can notice just the change in temperature a little bit. So it is that turning point. But same as you've got like Wednesday is sort of hump day, where people are struggling to get through that midway point, and it's a little bit like that. So you just kind of keep on going and keep trucking and get through it.
I know a lot of charities have taken the Blue Monday thing on board. I know it's only been with us for coming up 21 years now, from 2005, but they said it's a good chance to talk about mental health and issues, and they have used it in a positive light to do so. Is with your work, is that something that you find that you're able to promote more thanks to Blue Monday?
Well, people need help all times of year, obviously, but this is a really good talking point to bring it out into the open. There's a lot of stigma around admitting that you're struggling with mental health, even though it is completely normal and everybody needs help at times.
And with your work with Wellbeing Wales, do you want to tell us a little about what you do there?
So I'm an integrative person-centered therapist, and I specialize in ecotherapies. So that can be anything with natural materials, getting outside, animal-based therapies, or anything embraces the healing powers of the natural world.
And how important is that? I can imagine if you're indoors a lot, it is more important to get out, particularly if you're feeling stressed.
Yeah, the being outside has a lot of relaxing qualities to it, and we sort of cover it more in the 5 tips so that we've got coming up in a minute. But yeah, I just wanted to do something that was a more holistic approach to looking after your mental health, but also that offered a mental health maintenance. So you could want regular top-ups to make it a kind of normal, creative, social and fun process that everybody does just as a part of self-care.
So you'd also be getting fresh air, the vitamin D from the sun, and potentially exercise on some of those tasks.
Yes, absolutely. And if there's a social element as well, then that's all the better.
And what are the tips then? Give us a pointer on some of these tips you've got.
Okie doke. So my top tip with a countdown at number 5 is to take vitamin D. So this is the cheapest and easiest tip, and it helps to support your immune system, which affects your susceptibility to and longevity of infection. It's vital for good bone health, reduces inflammation, and studies suggest that it's a protective factor against dementia. It also helps with your mental health, with mood regulation and fighting off depressive symptoms.
And a lot of that comes from sunlight in us. So in the winter months, they do think that we could be low on vitamin D. Am I right?
Yeah, that's absolutely right. Yeah, in the spring and summer, we can produce it naturally through our skin. But in the UK, light levels in the winter are too low. And that leaves darker skinned and older people at greater risk of deficiency due to increase in UV protection and decreased production efficiency. We can top it up through our diet by eating eggs and fatty fish, such as those found in the SMASH acronym. So that's salmon, mackerel, anchovies, sardines, and herring, which are also rich in omega-3s. But during the winter months, it is recommended that everybody takes a daily supplement of 10 micrograms, or 400 international units. But if you are taking any existing medication, then it's good to check with your GP.
That's right. I knew about the sardine there. I knew that was one of the few foods that does have vitamin D's in. I was told they're very good for you, though. What's tip 4 then?
Tip number 4, you'll be glad to know, is also easy and it's free, and that is to get outside. So the fresh air, the sense of space, even the discomfort of the colder or wetter weather can all be good for boosting your mental health, your resilience, and your immune system. They can help you to feel grounded and reconnect you to the natural world, because we are a part of nature and it is a part of us.
And tip 3?
Tip number 3 is to get a good night's sleep. So a good day starts the night before. So a lot of us will suffer from lack of or poor quality sleep at some time. But in the cycle, you can see some nods going on here. Once you're in that cycle, it is hard to break. So the tips are to cut down on alcohol and caffeine, reduce your screen time before bed, practice good sleep hygiene by using your bedroom for its intended use, not for work. You could try lowering the temperature in the bedroom by a couple of degrees and taking a hot bath or shower about an hour before bed, because warming up to cool down will trigger your body's sleep response.
It's quite a problem now, sleep problems. Production man Matthew there was nodding to that one, but there is quite a problem with sleep these days and insomnia. And you mentioned the screen time, which always seems to come up. People shouldn't really be looking at screens just before bed. If they need to read, it should really be a book, shouldn't it, or papers, and not the bright screens.
Yeah, absolutely. And especially if you've got that sleep anxiety, which is a lot of what people are suffering from, then if you're waking up, then don't worry, because the whole thing of it is that it can be self-perpetuating. So it's better to accept the interruption, get up, have a hot drink, like you say, read, stay away from screens, and then return to bed. And that should help you to reset your rhythms then.
I read a very interesting article recently. I don't know if you know about this, but there used to be 2 sleeps, apparently. Now, a couple of hundred years ago, we'd go to bed, we'd have a little sleep, and that would allow the brain to process what we'd learnt in the day. Then they'd get up for a few hours and then go into a deep sleep. And they say that people who wake up in the night, it's part of our process from evolution of years and years ago when there was 2 sleeps.
Yeah.
So you have heard of that one?
Oh, completely. Yeah. It's only really with the Industrial Revolution where we are needing to go to work for 8 hours a day that basically we have to sort of cram our sleep into nighttime. But it's not the way that our bodies naturally work, where we have productions throughout the day and through nights where we are more awake and more productive. But it's something that we've pushed our bodies into doing to fit around education and work.
I think I might try and do that 2 sleeps. I want to try and see if it works, because I've read quite a bit on it, and it's even referenced in things like in Shakespeare's work and stuff. So it was quite a regular thing people would do. So maybe that's part of the issue, is that we're spending too much time in work and stuff and not enough time relaxing.
If you're not having a nap, you're living your life all wrong. So.
Tip 2, is it now?
Yeah, that's right. Our penultimate tip, and that is nourish yourself from the inside out. So this comes in 3 parts. The first of which is to look at what you're putting into your body. So be moderate. So rather than cutting down, like we were saying with the resolution, so be moderate with things that are less healthy, but embrace things that are more beneficial to your physical and mental well-being for a more holistic approach. You could try incorporating practices such as mindful eating for a more meditative approach, or eating outside away from distractions and responsibilities for a more restful experience. Part 2 of that is to invest time in yourself. So remember that you are the best investment that you will ever make. Take time out to top up and think about how that looks for you. That could be having a lie-in, it could be having a nap, it could be meeting friends. I like to get my daughters to do a hair syrup treatment on me, or go down to the Ivy Bridge for a bit of a spa treatment there. But whatever it is that works for you. There's also the third part then to that is to look at foods that promote a healthy gut microbiome, which reduces anxiety. Fermented foods are especially good for that. So that's things like sauerkraut, kimchi, kombucha, live yogurt and sourdough. And in Pembrokeshire, we're really lucky to have producers like the Fat Earth, Parker Therwen and Nourish Bakery. So you don't even have to make it yourself. But if you would like to learn, then you can drop us an email or a direct message, as we're taking registrations of interest for our upcoming fermented food workshops.
And do people need to concentrate a bit more on food intake when it comes to seeing what is healthy? Because some things you think are healthy, like you look at some maybe breakfast cereals, there's a lot of sugars and there's a lot of chemicals. Some of the breads, the supermarket breads and stuff, they're not quite as healthy as you think. So maybe people need to look a little deeper into what they're having. It's not our fault we kind of get confused. You know, the packaging always makes it look very nice and healthy. When we look at the ingredients, we think, hang on a minute, what's all this stuff in here? So do you think need to maybe look a bit deeper into their diet and maybe think perhaps this isn't as healthy as I'm thinking?
I think that there's a lot more conversation now around things like ultra processed foods. Things like bread, as you mentioned, supermarket breads, most of them are ultra processed foods. The key thing is, if you look in the ingredients list and there's stuff that you wouldn't normally have in your kitchen, things that you don't recognize, it's probably going to be an ultra processed food. So that's going to be on the not so healthy side. But things where you're using basic ingredients, where you know what they are, vegetables, fruit, you know, all that sort of thing, proper ingredients are going to be the ones that nourish your body.
Because it catches a lot of people out, I think, when they are led to believe that things are healthy and they don't think of bread as being ultra processed, or even things like maybe like chicken or ham that goes into the sandwich and stuff. That's kind of classed as processed, and people don't necessarily realize, they kind of think of bad foods as being the obvious ones.
Yeah, absolutely. It can be a really difficult thing to navigate, and it's something that, you know, there's a lot more kind of conversation and education around that now. But you know, we have got into the habit in the West of eating a lot of stuff that's convenient, because we do work hard, and so, you know, we do what's easiest and we do what we've got time to do. So it's trying to find that balance. Not everybody can cook from scratch all the time, but there are ways that you can improve your diet and make it healthier without having to kind of you know, have a whole day to be cooking.
And your top tip, what's number one?
Don't know, can I have a drum roll?
Go on.
Okay, so top tip number one is to try something new. So trying new things invokes a deeper level of concentration and immersion known as flow state. This enhances brain activity and plasticity. It reduces stress, releases dopamine, and increases happiness. It also helps to improve our analysis, judgment, and cognitive skills, and can assist with cognitive decline prevention. So this can be good for all ages, and it's especially good for teaching you the valuable skill of failure. So I don't know if you've heard of the zone of proximal development.
No, tell me.
So that is the zone of learning, which is just outside of your comfort zone. So if you feel a little bit maybe anxious, scared, something like that, you're probably in that zone, like if you're going on live radio for the first time. But this is the zone in which you learn, but you're setting yourself up for successes, but also failures that feel okay, you know, they're safe. You can make failures, you can stumble and things like that, but they're failures that you can pick yourself up from. So you're setting yourself up for success, but in a way that lets you find your path and have that stumbling, and that's what builds the foundations to success. You know, they're the lessons that help us to develop resilience. And so if you can, try to develop a growth mindset to new challenges and embrace the opportunity to grow by trying new things.
That's great. So you're doing top tip one right now by coming on air.
Yeah.
There you go. So you're taking your own advice and doing that. If people want to find out a bit more about Wellbeing Wales, how can they?
Okay, so we have got our website. So it's Willow Wellbeing Wales .co.uk or .com. We there's the stumbling that I talked about.
That's fine.
We're also on Facebook and on Instagram. I'm not very good at Instagram though, so we're not on there so much. But that's one of the things that I'm working on as well. So yeah, we are online. You can find us there, and I've run out of stuff to
That's
say.
great. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, that's really good. So that is Blue Monday. We found out how you can tackle Blue Monday, how you can feel better for today. If you are feeling a little down, if maybe those New Year's resolutions aren't coming to fruition, or you're just feeling a bit down with the weather, you can't wait for spring to come. That's how we can, some of those tips there, how we can cope with Blue Monday. Thank you to Julie Willow from Wellbeing Wales for being my guest this afternoon. The only song we can play out of this has to be this one. It's New Order's Blue Monday at Pure West Radio.